Hey, everybody. This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. The competition has begun. Today, I'm assuming Harry's people have pushed out this puff piece. So apparently, Prince Harry is making plans to return to Africa without Meghan Markle for a new Netflix documentary. To be honest, anything by these two is going to suck because they have revealed themselves for what they are serious grifters and Meghan as a complete fraud. While Harry sat beside his wife in supporting the attacks on his own family, including the late monarch, who was his granny. What type of person can do that and then expect the public to believe whatever compassion that he is going to portray in Africa? The people of Africa do not need this man to use their people as well as their land and backdrop to push this new image. And I'm sorry, but Netflix should scrap this idea too as well, because we all know that he's only doing it because he needs to fulfill a contract obligation. The article says that Harry's potential African journey will inevitably be seen as following in the footsteps of his mother, Princess Diana, who traveled to Africa to campaign against landmines shortly before her death. Well, didn't Harry already do that? Why is he going back there, or why are they toying with the idea to go back there to recreate this scene? I mean, Harry, let the woman rest and establish your own path. Stop living in your mother's shadow. The article continues on to say that it's not yet known what the documentary will be about. However, the ongoing Hollywood writers' strike means the prince cannot move forward with his plans yet, we are told. Well, why not? Oh, right, because Harry doesn't have two brain cells that he can rub together in order to make anything authentic. This new project comes amid rumors of trouble between Netflix and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, whose $20 million deal with Spotify came to an abrupt end earlier in June. A source familiar with their $100 million Netflix deal insisted, "Things are great." While a Netflix spokesperson said this week, "We value our partnership with Archwell Productions." The streamer spokesperson added they would continue to work together on a number of projects, including Heart of Invictus, which follows the annual games for service members and veterans that Harry founded. It will air on Netflix in August, and both the Duke and Duchess are slated to appear in the docuseries. I think Harry's people are desperate and they're grasping at straws to throw this out to see what the public thinks, if it is a good thing or it's a bad thing. I don't think anything that Meghan and Harry throw out as ideas is going to win the public over to change their perception of who they really are. The couple are under pressure to come up with good content ideas for Netflix after their Spotify deal was canceled because, sources told Page Six, the Sussexes had failed to come up with any great ideas for the podcaster. It's quite peculiar how they ended this article, where it says a Sussex rep was unavailable for comment. A Netflix spokesperson declined to comment. So here's the question, Page Six. How is it that you were able to reveal this information? Obviously, somebody must have given you some kind of tip, and most likely was from the Sussex camp, probably on Harry's side. As I've mentioned in a few videos now, I do believe that these two now are going to be competing in the headlines. So Harry's putting this out and making sure that the world knows that if he does this, he's going to Africa without Meghan. Like Meghan would really accompany him back to Africa, as we all know that she went there for photo shoots to give off this facade that she was some kind of caring humanitarian. But she has not been back since, and I don't ever see her going back there again because there's nothing in it for her. And she's not going to spend time with people who, quite frankly, we've seen her look repulsed. She's insulted the whole continent of Africa. Nobody wants to see her back there. Unfortunately, Harry has found himself in a position to where he literally has no choice. Netflix most likely will sue these two if they do not deliver on their end of the bargain by producing content. So he is in a place where his back is up against the wall and they are reaching for ideas. Had Harry listened to his brother and slowed it down with that woman, I guarantee Harry would not be in this position today. But he chose not to listen, and now he made his bed. Now he's got to lie in it. And you can't feel sorry for that. However, you also can't buy into the crap that they're going to be pushing out because we all know it's about image, rehabilitation, and fulfilling this contractual agreement for Netflix in order for them to receive the other half of this money. So, why should any of us take any of what they're saying as serious? Because we all know the end people that this is going to be serving is not the people of Africa, is not those that are in need. It really is to serve their egos, their contractual obligation, and at the end of the day, get them out of any type of financial trouble. Whatever Harry decides to do with Netflix, it's guaranteed to fail because we see him for who he is. And at this moment, they need to just go away and give it some space and time so people can, like, not forget, but not feel so angry about what these two have done as far as grifting, as far as attacking their family. I think it's going to take a very long time for Harry to come back and be taken seriously as any type of humanitarian. Right now, he has no business virtue signaling to any of us about some of the issues that are going on in this world. I think the first step for any type of acceptance to Harry, I don't think any type of acceptance will be for Meghan ever again. But I think for Harry, there needs to be some kind of acknowledgement that some of the things that he has done over the last 5 years have just outright been wrong. But if he needs people to tell him to do that in order to rebrand himself as the way that he wants to be seen, I think it defeats the purpose of, actually being sincere and genuine about recognizing and learning from the mistakes that have been made. Somehow I feel like it will get to a point where his people will probably advise him on doing some type of reconciliation and meeting sort of halfway in admitting or acknowledging some of the wrongs and the lies that he's openly told with no problem. And I do think that if there is a way back for Harry, and it gets to a point where his back is up against the wall, and let's say these PR wars get bad going back and forth, because I do foresee it. If they are on the brink of separating or divorcing or whatever, uncoupling, I think it would be smart for Harry to be the first one to come forward and let everybody know the type of marriage that he was in. If he does recognize that he is with a malignant narcissist and she pretty much has destroyed his entire life and took everything away from him. Now, if Harry was smart, that's a story that Netflix would want to tell and have exclusive access to. So forget Africa, make your amends with your family, do it through Netflix, and ditch the witch. Seriously. Right now, nobody really cares about what these two have to say or offer to the world to benefit themselves. In fact, we just want you to go away. I mean, maybe Harry should apply to a community college and take a 2-year course on mental health. At least have some type of certification or degree around the topics that you're preaching about. Or how about taking the remaining money that you might have, Harry, and go to Africa and take Archie with you. Spend some time with your son and do the same thing that your mother did for you by showing him what the real world looks like. Keeping him hostage in the Olive Garden castle is going to make him turn out equally messed up. Break that genetic pain and go spend some time with him without the cameras. This time around, let Meg clean up the Netflix mess. Let her figure out what type of content and let her be the one that gets sued, considering that her name is probably on all the paperwork here in the United States. Considering that Meghan likes to throw out those grenades and then have Harry go and clean it up when the damage is done, I think this is an instance where Harry needs to get out of town and leave Megan to clean up this epic mess that she has made. I'm sure Grandma Diana will be there every step of the way to guide her, so need not worry. Not only is Harry facing more potential lawsuits, but let's not forget that he works at a startup called BetterUp, in which they are imploding themselves. Let me read to you the most recent review that was left, dated June 27, 2023. It's a current employee of more than a year, and they gave it 1 star. And the title, I think, is great: Better Down and Worse Up. So, the pros that they have listed: inspiring mission, product, and wicked smart team members and coaches who are passionate about making a difference in the world. Now, sit back and get comfortable for the cons. Yes, BetterUp is rapidly transforming, and organizational culture starts at the top. Take notice of Alexi's CEO rating, as the downward spiral is a reflection of his high ego approach to leading and the emerging better down culture. Ooh, that's a burn. Toxic work environment. The CEOs is inspiring a toxic work environment characterized by fear, intimidation, and favoritism. Employees are feeling undervalued, disengaged, and demotivated, leading to high turnover rates and a decline in overall morale. Ask about the people survey trends quarter over quarter during your interview process. Losing amazing talent. BetterUp is now a dysfunctional organization and is struggling to retain top talent. Talented individuals are being deterred by the toxic work environment and lack of growth opportunities. Consider asking how many team members have departed BetterUp in the last 12 months. Now ask how many managers, leaders have departed in the last 12 months. People quit their leaders, not their company. I would have to agree with that. Radical candor is a trap. CEO and executive team are consistently sabotaging psych safety and courage. Surveys asking leaders for candid input, feedback, are not confidential and are used to remove dissenters. Slogans are regularly used to drive Alexi's vague commander's intent. He is quick to attribute the lack of organization clarity to leaders, as they are ineffectively cascading yet another obscure strategic pivot. Team members are inspired to adopt a growth mindset, which is code to assimilate by looking within for answers and keep your concerns and questions to yourself. BetterUp is struggling to adapt and improve, as valuable insights and perspectives are discouraged and disregarded. In the beginning, when Harry was announced as the chimpo for this organization, many people questioned, like, why was he chosen when there's so many other qualified people out there in the United States? But it all makes sense, because when you hear about the dysfunction and the toxicity, Harry fits in with the lack of expertise and dysfunction that is being seen with the executives of this company. So he was a perfect candidate to join BetterUp, because like minded people tend to flock together. And what we're seeing right now is things failing left and right. A perfect reflection of what we're seeing with Meghan and Harry's life. I think this advice to management by one current employee speaks volumes, and it says, please bring in execs that actually have experience, not just those that come from cool consumer brands or elite consulting companies. This is not the right team to bring BetterUp to IPO. Make an attempt to build trust or show vulnerability at the top. Employees who are here today want this to get better, but labeling the people who share feedback as having a victim mindset is getting old. How are we being set up for success with a sales pitch that is based on products that aren't ready, built, and a dysfunctional business to business marketing strategy? Why aren't we trying to solve the actual problems in the business? The founders need to take a hard look in the mirror and realize that the teams who put in the work every day are not the only source of the challenges we have. The execs also need to become extreme owners, for the situation we're in. So here is what the worker bees are failing to understand. And it took a while for me to get this until I left where I was working and now have seen how these elites and globalists are operating. They don't care about how you feel. They don't care if they work you into the ground. They're going to use you and abuse you and then churn. They're going to bring more people in just to keep the business afloat because the strategy and agenda that they're pushing and selling everybody on within the company and mission is not aligned with what the executive leadership is pushing for. They want this company to go IPO so they can sell it and flip it. This is not about developing and growing with the company. Highly doubt any of those executives are going to stay on board once the company becomes public. So it doesn't matter what these employees feel or think or where they're going with this company. It's really about making that money, and they will abuse and use people in order to achieve that goal. In my opinion, there is a class action lawsuit waiting to happen. It's just these employees need to have the courage and find the strength to go up against the tech bros, per se. As you can see here, May 30th, someone left saying, too many to list. If you want a place that will systematically destroy your mental health, come work here. I think there's strength in numbers, and I do think that there are too many of these reviews in which they are saying that psychological safety is a big issue. And that's a liability. I don't believe that arbitration is going to cover a class action lawsuit. And I think that these employees need to band together, contact OSHA, which is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, to find out what the workers' rights are. And if you can file a lawsuit, class action, this is wrong on so many levels. Now, if I was in this situation, knowing what I know now after having to deal with a very toxic environment, you better believe I would be writing to each and every one of the investors that are banking on this company going IPO and letting them know that the DEI policy, the one that they are so focused on with this diversity, equity, inclusion, let them know that it's not working out and that the entire staff itself under these executives are ready to walk out. We're not talking about a company with thousands of employees. I believe it's like under 500. So if you take out half of the workforce, like 200 people who can easily walk out, you're crippling the business for sure. So I would say seize that opportunity. I guarantee that the investors will be the ones who will be the final say in making sure that they clean house at the top. And they really need to start with Prince Harry because really, what is he doing there? Is he just there so he can stay in this country legally? Maybe that's why he's talking about going to Africa, because what if he doesn't have a visa that is going to be renewed? Or let's say his information comes back and he did lie, then he gets potentially kicked out. He's probably looking for a plan B. In my opinion, put a little pressure over on that area too as well. That's just me. If I was in that situation, that is exactly what I would do. I think having going through my experience, I would have zero cares in the world because a job is a job. You'll get another one. Clearly, you'll find a way. And I've said this many times over. From what I've learned is that God will not leave me hanging. So as scary as it is, if you're in a situation, don't worry. Trust that God has your back 100%. And on that note, that's all I have for you today. Please definitely let me know your thoughts below. And as always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe and I will talk to you later. Bye.
It was such a fraud.